This is the external container for my first aid kit. I use a 10-liter dry bag. So let's look inside here. Right in the very top, I have a label with the soonest expiry date of anything in the contents. This happens to be my EpiPen, expires in June of 2010. On the very top, I have thrown a miscellaneous toque. This is a reminder to me to treat my patient for shock and for elemental protection. Digging further into my dry bag here, the bulk of my first aid kit is contained in freezer quality Ziploc bags that have been taped together with packing tape so that they stay together. If I was out in the rain or stormy weather, I'd still be able to access certain contents and I would not be getting the whole of my first aid kit wet. We'll start with the middle bag, and in the very middle bag here, this middle bag is full of medications that I bring on trips, and we're going to talk about that in a further podcast. The next bag I'll dig into is a lot of tools, essentially. I have an EpiPen, again, that's medication. And notice everything that I pull out is double bagged. So, the first bag that we'll dig into here, I have 20 cc syringes. 20 cc syringes, and we use these for wound care. I'll just go ahead and dump out the contents. And I have 2 non-lubricating strip razors. I have a small handful of cotton-tipped applicators for putting benzoin on and ointments and flipping eyelids and miscellaneous things like that. I also have a small handful of towelettes, mostly antiseptic benzalkonium chloride towelettes, but I also do carry some alcohol prep pads for cleaning off my thermometers. I have a small handful of needles, 18 and 20 gauge needles, and these 18 and 20 gauge needles are used for wound care, popping blisters, and such. I have 2 number 11 scalpel blades, and these scalpel blades are used for wound debridement. Within the same bag, I have a really solid container here, and inside this container, this is where I keep a pair of splinter forceps, basically tweezers that actually work. I have a standard mercury thermometer. And I also have a hypothermia thermometer. The range is different on a hypothermia thermometer. And once again, notice you need a container to put these things in that's going to allow for you to protect them from breakage. Mercury spilling in the environment is very bad. I also have my Nalgene bottle of tincture of benzoin in a separate bag so that I don't damage other contents in the first aid kit. And quite often, because I put benzoin in the threads to help seal it, quite often I need a multiplier tool just to even get the thing open. There we go. And there's my tincture of benzoin. Put that back in the bag. And then the last bag of my first aid kit mainly contains bandaging supplies, dressing supplies. We have a roll of athletic or medical adhesive tape. I have a roll of paper tape, also known as micropore, good for blister treatment and prevention. I have a 4-inch roll of roller gauze. This is non-sterile, but it's great for holding bandaging on. We have an ABD pad. ABD stands for abdomen, and these are designed, they're quite large. This one would be 8 inches by 10 inches when opened up. We have some steri strips. These sizes are 3 inches, or 3 millimeters by 75 millimeters. I carry Opsite. This is a 7 centimeter by 6 centimeter waterproof breathable bandage. It's clear. It's a lot like Gore-Tex. I like it a lot. A non-stick gauze. and a number of 4x4 gauze, standard gauze bandages, or dressings. Digging further into my dry bag, what else do we have in here? We have some spare freezer quality bags. One of these bags is a biohazard bag. I've drawn the biohazard symbol on it. I have a sharps container, and this is just a 60 milliliter Nalgene bottle, and this will hold scalpel blades and needles without risk of hurting myself or puncturing my ear. I have a pencil, and this pencil has a small handful of duct tape wrapped around it. I have some paperwork in the bottom of my dry bag. I have some blank pieces of paper, some accident and incident report forms, and I also have the medication information on all medications that are carried in my first aid kit. And then the very bottom of my dry bag has some metal splints. The metal in these is aluminum. Notice how it's taped up with duct tape and rolled into the same size as the circumference of my dry bag. And this protects my first aid kit from damage, as when everything is put together inside, it's tucked inside the metal ring. Now I'll quickly show you what these splints look like in their raw form when you buy them. They look just like this. Now these edges, and especially the corners, can get very sharp, and so protecting yourself, your patient, and your equipment is just a matter of putting some duct tape on these splints, and it can be accomplished quite easily. Just like that. And you want to do all four sides of this, making sure that you don't leave corners like this exposed, and that'll protect things from getting damaged. Roll them up into the circumference of your dry bag, and as they say in France, voila. Some of the things that I thought about when assembling this kit was that we would be a family of 3, 2 adults and a toddler age 2. We would be on the river for 14 days for 150 river miles. We would have occasional road access, easy air and boat access, and an evacuation at most would likely take 2 days anywhere along the river. Emergency communication was via a spot messenger with a cell phone backup. For the cell phone, we would have had to have walked to a road and hitchhiked. The typical summer temperatures would go from very hot to near freezing. The summer weather tended to be quite nice, with afternoon thunderstorms being common. Drinking water was not easily accessible. This was carried on board. Another consideration was the high probability first aid situations that I would have to deal with. These I considered to be blisters and other small wounds or minor burns, GI illness, and overuse or athletic injuries. Now, other travelers often add things like participant medical forms, triangular bandages, safety pins, rescue breathing barrier devices like a pocket mask, maybe a small pack saw, water treatment supplies. These are common and good additions to a first aid kit. As far as sourcing your first aid supplies, we recommend that you use a first aid supply store, locally or online, to buy your supplies. Outdoor stores are good for the durable containers to put your kit into, but you should get your first aid supplies at a first aid store and your outdoor supplies at an outdoor store. This has been Wilderness First Aid Kits. My name is Michael Crawford, and thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to Slipstream's podcasts. More details can be found about us at www.wildernessfirstaid.ca or by calling 1-800-760-3188.